Okay, get this. What if you could heal a wound just by using a photograph? I know, it sounds like something straight out of science fiction, but today we're diving into a really fascinating study that actually dared to ask that exact question.
So yeah, that's the big question here. Can the super weird, counterintuitive rules of quantum physics actually heal living tissue? From a distance. It feels like it belongs in a movie, right? But believe it or not, a team of scientists decided to put it to the test.
Now, to even get our heads around this, we have to talk about this emerging field called quantum biology. For the longest time, everyone thought these bizarre quantum effects like entanglement could only happen in labs at temperatures near absolute zero. But what if nature has been using these quantum tricks all along, right inside our own cells? That's what quantum biology is all about.
So how on earth do you even begin to design an experiment to test a claim that wild? Well, let's break down exactly how they did it.
Okay, the first thing you've got to know is how serious they were about the science. This was a double-blind experiment, and that's the gold standard, you know? It means that not even the researchers handling the cells, led by Dr. Robert Sheaff, had any idea which samples were the treatment group and which were the control. They used real human skin cells, fibroblasts, which are literally the little guys that rebuild your tissue when you get a cut.
The actual process is just fascinating. So first they grow these little sheets of skin cells in petri dishes. Then they create a perfectly uniform wound by just scraping a line right through the middle. But now here's where it gets totally wild. They didn't treat the cells. Nope. They took pictures of some of the plates, and then they exposed only the photographs to this device called a Leela Quantum Bloc. After that, they just watched and photographed and measured. And to make sure their measurements were super precise, they had a pretty clever low-tech solution. I mean, how do you make sure you're looking at the exact same microscopic spot every single time? Well, they just drew a little crosshair on the bottom of each dish. It basically acted like a map, guiding the microscope to the exact same coordinates for every single measurement. Pretty smart, right? No room for error.
So, the stage was set. It was basically a microscopic healing race. Which group of cells would close the gap first? The ones whose picture was getting the quantum treatment, or the completely normal, untreated control group?
And they tracked this race so meticulously. You can see it on the timeline here. At hour 0, you have the fresh wound. By about 14 hours, you see the first cell starting to creep into the gap. But the really key moment, it's around 24 hours, when they started to see clear, visible differences between the groups. And then, bam! By 38 hours, one of the plates was completely healed over.
All right, so after all that incredibly careful work, it was finally time to unblind the study and decode the results. What did the data actually show? Was there a difference?
And you have to remember, this wasn't some lucky one-off result. To make sure what they were seeing was real, the team repeated this exact, painstaking process 5 different times over the span of a whole year.
And the results were just staggering. In the most dramatic cases, the cells that were linked to the treated photographs healed up to 100% faster than the control cells. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. They closed the wound in literally half the time because of something that was happening to a picture of them.
Now, of course, in science, you don't just look at the most jaw-dropping result. You look at the averages. And when they crunched all the numbers from all 5 experiments, they saw range. But even on the low end, the treated cells still healed almost 46% faster. The effect was consistent, and it was significant across that entire year of study.
And it wasn't just about speed, you know? It was about the quality of the healing. The treated cells formed this much healthier, really densely packed layer of new tissue, properly closing the wound. The control cells, on the other hand, still had all these open spaces, even after 48 hours. So the treated cells didn't just heal faster, it seems like they healed better.
So, what in the world does all this mean? Are we actually looking at a glimpse of the future of healing?
So let's just do a quick recap of what we've seen. Across 5 separate, double-blind experiments, scientists found a huge increase in the rate of wound healing, anywhere from about 46% to a full 100% faster. And the most incredible part? This measurable positive impact on a living biological system was achieved by treating nothing more than a photograph.
Now, it is really important to keep a level head about this. The guy who ran the study, Dr. Sheaff, he summed it up perfectly. He called the results interesting and said they weren't further study. And that's exactly how good science works. These are amazing, groundbreaking findings, for sure, but they're the start of a new conversation, not the final word.
And that just leaves us with this truly mind-bending thought to chew on. This study used a simple photograph as a kind of bridge between the quantum world and the biological one. It really challenges our basic ideas about how things are connected, and it opens up this massive question. Could a picture, a simple photograph, actually play a role in the future of medicine? This research suggests it's a question we should probably start asking.